Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. The Roaring Twenties were a time of great change and great exuberance and great understanding within our country. And there is a time that has been coming right now, talking about new technologies, things that are happening in the world of digital voice assistants that are helping dealerships. And probably no better time than right now to talk about Brooke.ai and meeting the demands of the 2020s consumer experience. I'd like to introduce the Fixed Ops Roundtable to Tiffany Peeler from Brooke.ai. Tiffany, welcome to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thank you, Ted. I'm super excited to be here.
I am as well, and you've got some heavyweights with you on the panel today. They are Shon Kingrey, who is no stranger to the Fixed Ops Roundtable in having led and leads a very big organization, and Tully Williams as well. These are both standard bearers of the Fixed Ops Roundtable. So, Tiffany, we're in great company today, so I'm excited as well.
Yes, we sure are. I'm happy to have these two here to talk with me and with all of your audience about our digital voice technology.
So, kind of take us through that, Tiffany. The last couple events, Brooke has been a part of it. We've heard from a number of retailers, managers who started using the technology. A lot of things happened in the last 2.5 years that I think have, kind of brought this forward. The Great Resignation. We've had a tougher time attracting and retaining employees as well. Dealers want to make sure that their phones are addressed. Very, very important. Talk to us. Why is now the time to look at a technology like Brooke?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. And Tully and Shon can certainly speak to this as it relates to their stores. But I think just in general, we as a population, considering what everything with the pandemic and again, the Great Resignation, like you already stated, we just as a community of people see the need for leveraging technology just to complete simple tasks that we used to have to lean on people to do. It wasn't just our industry that started moving in that direction. It was a lot of different industries. I think maybe we were a little bit late to the party, but we still showed up to the party, which is important. So I think that now is the right time because it's just tough getting people to show up and to show up consistently. Customers are still calling. The idea is that customers want to do a lot of things online. They do until it gets to a point where they're scheduling appointments. The majority of people are booking appointments while they're doing other things, right? So it's a task that we can kind of do while we're multitasking other things at the same time. And I think that leads a lot of us to picking up our smartphone, Googling a business of some kind, clicking on the name of that business and calling to get that appointment that we've been meaning to schedule for probably the last couple of weeks booked. And so being able to lean on technology to handle some of those easier tasks and not have to rely so heavily on people to show up consistently and execute is more important now more than it ever has been in the past, right? It's more of a need than it ever has been in the past.
And Tiffany, before I come to Tully and Shon on as far as what pain points this helps solve at the dealership, your company, Brooke.ai, actually has very deep experience in the retail automotive industry, which I think, Tiffany, is a differentiator, especially for our audience that's fixed ops. Just tell us a little bit about, what's powering Brooke.ai.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up because I think that's super important to distinguish. Brooke is powered by Proactive Dealer Solutions. We've been in the industry now about 25 years. The people that do know us as the BDC experts. We kind of started as a training and consulting company that focused on the implementation and development of successful sales and service BDCs. So we quite literally wrote the script on the inbound call. We literally wrote the process on how to load your shop with appointments across a day, right? Which was a new way of thinking. If you go back 10, 15 years ago, BDCs were the new concept, right? Getting a service BDC in place and relying on someone who wasn't a receptionist or an advisor to handle calls and book appointments was a new concept. And we really championed that concept, and we wrote the process, and we taught service managers how to move away from a bring it on in whenever you want to mentality and really go to an appointment-based system that allowed them to plan out their day across their advisors and their technicians. So, we've been working in the lane, we've been working in service BDCs for so long that it allowed us to understand, how do you have to build a technology like this that functions in the lane as well and doesn't create a mess for our advisors or technicians or service managers to deal with. That's kind of the first piece. We've also had thousands and thousands of phone calls and recordings of phone calls because of some of our other call management technologies, that we were able to develop this quickly with a high level of accuracy, which I think is really important. So, there's a lot of people out there that'll say, oh, they're not a technology company, they're not an AI company. They're a BDC company or a training company. Well, we're both. And I think that makes us, puts us kind of ahead of the game.
Tully Williams, I met you about 15 years ago, before you were at your position now at the Niello company. And congratulations, by the way, on the 100th anniversary at the Niello as well. But when I met you, at about that time, Tiffany's right, dealers that were considering BDC were unsure about the new technology. Do I need a BDC? Is that something we should explore? And that actually, at the time, that was a big hurdle to get over, that I'm going to have a BDC in my store. Who's going to staff it? Should I do that? And now, today it's accepted. It's commonplace. Why would you not have that? I kind of look at the AI thing, Tully, the same way. Talk to us about some of the pain points that it solves for you and how you got introduced to Brooke.ai.
So I think the issue we have is that we love our personnel, we love our employees, and employees are our best asset. But when you're talking about answering phone calls 24/7, 365, a BDC or humans cannot do that. And that has always been our challenge. People like to make appointments when? If you talk to X-Time or Cox and ask them, when do people make online appointments? It's Sunday afternoons. Okay, we're closed, just so everybody knows, which means that 70%, we're hoping more like 60%, but we're 70% of all of our customers cannot make a phone call. So how do we overcome that? Do you staff a BDC? And on the weekends and nights? The answer is, it's not going to be very cost effective. But here's what we want to do. As we're in the repeat and referral business, how do we make it easy for the customer? And this is why I chose Brooke for our dealership group, because of two things. First, 100% integration with our X-Time scheduler. As Tiffany said, you are a appointment style kind of company. We'll take walk-ins, of course we will, but we want people to make an appointment. So you have to have it integrated into that system live 24/7, 365. The next piece is, I want the phone calls answered. Have you ever looked at phone call matrix for a store? Service departments, if we answer the phone at 80%, I feel like they all get a trophy. It is really hard because of the volume. And what do? We have texting. We do all these things to prevent phone calls. It doesn't always work. But now I can say, if you call in and you hit the appointment button on our phone tree, the phone call will be answered and it will make you an appointment. Now, if it's after hours and you don't know what to do, you can always skip and you can go and make a voicemail. But what we're seeing is that customers, as they get used to this, because this is not the first company that's done this. Everybody's been doing this years and years, and they're kind of used to it. So educating our customers, if you want to make an appointment on Sunday afternoon, if you want to make it at 2:00 in the morning, guess what? The Niello company is open for business to make an appointment. That is the power here. This is why it works.
Shon, what Tully says rings true, and I'm sure it does at step one. I'm just thinking what he just said. Yesterday, I was very busy with the Fixed Ops Roundtable, a lot of dealers, Tiffany, talking to a lot of experts in our industry. I was busy all day, right? And then last night, I got an email from my dealership. It's time, Tully, they said, to make a service appointment, right? So I clicked on the link. It was late. It was 10:30, quarter to 11, and I realize I'm going into X time, okay? And there it is that night, late. There's no way the dealership here in the Northeast would have been open at that time, Shon. So I like what Tully's saying there. Shon, how about you over there at Step One?
So for us, we're a group that started at 4 stores 5 years ago. Now we're at 24 stores. Okay, so we've grown exponentially. Okay? We're not in LA. We're not in New York. We're not in the Northeast. We're not in Atlanta. We have a limited supply of people. There is a certain point, guys, and we'll get into COVID here in a second, but there's a certain point where you reach a cap. There's only so many people that are going to do that job. Now we can talk about COVID and what COVID did to that segment of a job market between the $12 and $18 an hour range. They don't exist. And quite frankly, I'm not being rude. They don't want to work. They don't want to be held accountable for it. And that's, we incentivize, and Tiffany knows how we pay. And I know Tully and I've talked about it. We incentivize for showed appointments. At the end of the day, I always say I could sell a BDC to a dead guy, because if you don't have a BDC, you're letting the advisors control your schedule, which we will never do. Okay. All AI does, or all X time does, is it helps land that airplane. What I need is an agent, which is what Brooke does for us. I need him to put the airplane on the runway. I'll take care of it once it's there. All I need to do is get that car on my service drive and let my advisors do their job. And what Brooke.ai does, it lands that airplane. It puts it on the runway and hits park. That's all I need. Now, Tiffany can go through her side and work and how it works and explain the matrix. And yes, and my biggest scare is every service manager out there says, well, my customers want to talk to a live person. That's an option. If you say agent twice, I agree totally. But if you say agent twice, it gets them to the live agent. This doesn't replace your BDC, but it doesn't call in sick. It doesn't show up late. It doesn't have an attitude, and it doesn't have a cell phone in his hand texting all darn day while the phone's sitting there ringing. It answers the phone 24/7. And to Tully's point, roadside assistance. Listen, flat tires aren't scheduled. Okay, flat tires on the way home after you go to Burger King at 2:00 in the morning happen. Guess what? That will refer you, and it will send you to roadside assistance. It knows what to do. It knows how to schedule. Again, to Tully's point, integrates magically with X time. It knows your op codes. It feeds off your op codes, and it's literally seamless.
These are big dealer groups. Shon Kingrey's group. Tully, how many dealerships in your group there at Niello?
We have 10. We have 10 luxury brands for our stores. But I just want to piggyback off of Shon. He's spot on. But think about this: when you call into a store, do you call between 7 and 9? No. Are you going to call at lunchtime? No. Are you going to call at 4:30 to 6 o'clock? No. So when do we call and make an appointment? Oh, that's right. We're open from 9 to 11 and 1 to 3. What? That doesn't work. That doesn't work, right? We're open 365, 24/7. That's the power.
Tiffany, let me come back to you. They're making some great points.
Yeah, they're making fantastic points. I mean, I don't even know why I'm here at this point. No, but some of the things that they're talking about, it's important because even if you are a customer that's going to call, like me, I'm probably going to call on my drive to or from work.
Really?
That's when I make appointments. That's
Okay.
also when the service phones are ringing off the freaking hook. And that's when the service lane is at its busiest. The cars are being dropped off. They're being picked up at that time. Everything is slam-packed busy. So when you consider call failure, calls not being answered because no one's available to get them, customers are calling in likely at those hours. And that's when we're seeing the highest failure rate. Why not lean on something like this that allows those easy, mundane tasks to be handled by technology? So the people that you need to rely on are available to be there for the customers who need or want to. A couple of great points too is the integration with X time. The integration with X time is seamless and fantastic. For those dealers, I'm doing it with the two of you through X time. So it's been a very easy onboarding process.
Really? Okay.
For those dealers that don't have X time, which I think this is a differentiator, is the dealers that don't have X time, we can still support you with an integration direct to the DMS. The onboarding might be a touch heavier of a workload for the store, but outside of that, it functions the same way. I think also a differentiator for the Brooke platform against other tools that do similar things is that we're preferred DVA solution for Cox. And that's important because it allows Tully and Shon and their team to go into the X-Time workbook every day and actually separate out appointments set by the digital voice technology versus the web versus the BDC. So if you do want to look and say, okay, how many have I gotten right now? Who's coming in when from Brooke? Which one of these are new customers or what have you? You can do all of that right from within the X-Time application, which I think is important to know, right?
So Tiffany, if I'm watching this right now, I'm a fixed ops director, service manager, general manager, dealer principal, and I have the X-Time solution in my dealership. You're saying that to have Brooke incorporated in that is a pretty simple process.
I'll let Shon take this one. Shon, because we onboarded with Shon fairly recently. So Shon, how is your process?
All right, so let's talk about that. I'm going to roll it out in two different stages. First of all, I want to tell you, as we grew as quickly as we did, and we did some buy sells with extremely short notice, we found ourselves only answering, but Tully, you're going to throw things at me through the screen here, 46% of our phone calls. And backing into that, what do we do with a client? We make them find the phone number. We hope the phone number is right on the internet because we don't do a very good job checking that. Then we make them call. Then we can go through a script. And then, by the way, we don't even answer the phone. We do a horrible job. That's what we do. And by the way, when we do answer, what's the first thing we tell them? No. We're going to schedule what's convenient for us, not what's convenient for you. So Tiffany and I had a long relationship. We've known each other for a couple of years. We went back and forth, and it resulted in a Monday morning phone call. And I said, hey, I'm at DEFCON 1. I'm in trouble. I'm answering 46% of my phone calls. I don't know what to do. In 7 days, we launched in a CDGR store. And I'm going to take that a step further because Tully, I know you're on Highline stores. We have 6 Chrysler stores. All right. So we're required to use Dealer FX and we use X-Time. All right. So we go through both platforms. We have to schedule on Dealer FX to be compliant to get our CSI money. And then we push through X-Time, which then pushes to the DMS. By the way, seamless. 7 days, start to finish. There was some uncomfortable conversations between all of us, I can promise you. And it took 2 of my BDC director and her assistant, a 7-day nonstop from start to finish, integration, up and running. We're answering live phone calls.
Yeah.
That quick.
Wow. Tully, what about on your end?
It was seamless as well. I think ours took about 2 weeks. And I think part of it was we had to get IT to figure out how to do the phone change, which is, we have Cisco phones. So you have to have a doctorate in, dumbass to make, sorry. You have to have a doctorate to make it happen. So the issue is that it was simple. You know what you find out when you turn it on are your settings in X-Time right? That's the key issue. And what we found is that the service managers, I don't want appointments the same day. I'll push those off. Well, what happened there? Nobody knew, right? First day we turn it on, not a lot of appointments. We found out what a problem. We fixed it within the next day or two. Boom. It's been working flawlessly. And the way I look at it is that no one's complaining.
Tully, it's amazing with all the technology that we share here at the Roundtable. I met with a dealer recently, and it comes down simply to, I want my phones answered, Tully. I want someone to answer the phone when the customer calls us. And Tully, that's really probably nothing more important than that, I would imagine.
It is. When we monitor phone calls and, poor Shon, and we both have the same problem. And we train on communication, follow-up, communication, follow-up, communication. And what we do is that our phone system is probably 70 to 80% plugged up of calling back on a quote or something, not taking an appointment, which is what we want. So then we hire cashiers and phone answerers or a BDC. And what happens when they're busy? These people get pushed off. Now we don't have to worry about that anymore. If someone wants to use the digital assistant, which is norm today when you call large corporations, is that they're very familiar how it works, is that they get answered instantly. That is the best part of this whole thing. And I know for a fact they're going to look at my X-Time appointment log because that's what I have to go by. And that is what makes it perfect.
Can I
Tiffany,
pick up on
go
that?
ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
There's a few things that Tully just said that I think really will resonate with the audience. And some of that is the customers calling in and being able to handle what they want to handle right in that moment. And Shon mentioned earlier, some of your service managers, I believe it was Shon mentioned earlier, some of the service managers, their biggest concern is going to be, I want a person to answer the phone. And then back to Tully, where he said, we're used to using this technology in other industries. I mean, if I call, an airline, or if I call my bank, I'm going to get something similar to this. It exists. We interact with it regularly. I have an Alexa in my house. I have a Siri on my phone. We're all using it. But I still get this a lot from a lot of fixed ops managers out there, where it's or dealers, and they're saying, we are a people company and we want to provide a, people first experience, and I want a human answering every phone call. But I kind of challenge everyone that's watching, why? Why do you want the human answering every phone call? Do you just want that phone call answered? And do you want to allow your customer the ability to self-serve? If the answer is, I want an option for my consumers to self-serve on their time, because that's what we as impatient people want today, then this is an option for you to do. But if you're going to do it, you've got to educate the consumer, right? This is what we have. This is why we've gotten it to help you and what you're able to do. But to Shon's earlier point, if you don't want to book with Brooke, all you have to do is tell her, and she will transfer you to one of our team members to help you. And I think that's an important note, because if I can jump into metrics very quickly.
Go ahead.
One of the things that we see when stores start out is a higher transfer rate, right? Because customers call in, they get this, they're not used to it yet. They ask to be transferred over to an agent. But as the stores are live on the application, and we put together an entire marketing PR package that we'll share with the stores for them to kind of push out via social. We have word tracks for the advisors to use, or BDC agents to use when talking to customers. If you're educating your customers and saying, hey, this is why we got this tool, this is how you can use it, this is what we want to make sure that we're able to provide to you, the customer. As you educate them and as they start to interact with the application, we will see transfer rates drastically drop over time and appointment rates increase significantly. So you might start with an appointment rate of about 40%, but within 6 months, we've got stores that are booking appointable calls at about 68% of the time, which, by the way, the average BDC is converting appointable calls at about 44%.
Really?
So if we are doing that or better, then what's the question, right? No brainer.
Mm-hmm. Shon, I know you and I have had this discussion in the past as well. I'm a dealer and I'm concerned of, looking at those metrics. Now I know that Tiffany's got that deep experience with Proactive, and they've been doing these metrics for a long time, but now they're carrying it over to the AI world. So tell us about that.
No, I think, in going back to what both of them have said, you talk about retraining clients. I'm going to tell you about a Chevy store we bought in Birmingham that, believe it or not, has 27 bays and had zero online, had zero scheduling. They didn't have X time. They had nothing. It's a GM store. Their motto was, bring it in. That's it. That was their day. So you walk into the store and it's pure chaos. You can feel it when you walk in. Guess what? In a matter of 90 days, done with some publicity and some direct mail and some emails, you train your client to make appointments. You can train your client to use Brooke.ai. You can, okay? And again, we can get to the matrix where we were answering 46% of our calls, and now we're plus 80%, okay? I can get into those, and I can pat Tiffany on the back, but I don't want her head to get all big. But no. Guys, that wasn't because we didn't want to answer the phone, guys. It's because we didn't have the right staff to do it. We outgrew what we could physically staff. Our BDC, just so it's no secret, I've mentioned it before, is inside of a shopping mall. We bought their corporate office out of a shopping mall. Yet that's where we put it. We had nowhere else to put it. So they have cubicles, they had offices, and we have 44 young ladies and one male all crammed in this one spot answering phones, and we couldn't handle 24 stores. It physically wasn't possible. And
Wow.
by the way, that's service BDC. That's not sales BDC. And guess what? Once again, all I need you to do is I need that airplane. When you give me the airplane, I'll park it at the terminal and take it from there. That's my job. That's my job to train the advisors. And, as Tully's taught us all, we are in the repeat and referral business. Okay. It's a people business. We'll handle it. I just need to do what's right for the client every time and get them on the service drive.
So, Shon, you have a service BDC and you have the AI voice assistant as well.
That is 100% correct, sir. The first option when you answer the phone is the service. You're going to select 1 for service, 2 for parts. By the way, we come first before sales. Service first, sales second, parts third, or sales third. That took some doing. I don't think sales has figured that out. I probably should have said that on air. But that is the order of it, because, again, we need to schedule what's right for the client. Okay, because most consumers on car buying are not going to the phone; they're going online. Okay,
Sure.
Our online schedule in our area is extremely low. So yes, to answer your question, Brooke.ai kicks in, and all they have to do is at that point, are you calling for status of vehicles in the shop? Then it goes to the service drive. If they want to schedule an appointment, Brooke.ai is the first line of defense, and we have very little opt out. To be very honest with you, most people, as we've all agreed and we've all said 100 times already during this recording, is, guys, it's very quick. They're used to doing it. It's what you do. You call the bank, you call the airline. It's seamless. It just goes right through.
So, Shon, let me just follow that up.
Yeah.
So, in your recommendation, first line of defense, go for a service appointment, it goes right to Brooke.ai, and you let the AI go ahead and take that service appointment.
100%. If you can remove the human element, this is an appointment. It's not a live interaction. Schedule the appointment to Brooke.ai 100% of the time.
Let me go to the West Coast. Tully, I don't know that. Do you have a service BDC as well?
No, each store has a couple people that do it, but Shon's spot on. Goes to AI, and then if they choose to bump up, they bump out. But as I think they both said, is that we had some education process, because when they first get this, like, what's this? This is not my gal that I normally talk to. So we led with their recommendation. Is we've been doing some social media marketing about you can call 24/7, 365 and make an appointment through our great new gal, Brooke.ai. And it's helping, I think, path that way down a little bit so people feel more comfortable, because once they try it once, especially if they're an existing customer, they never want to talk to a human again. Guaranteed.
Tiffany, is Brooke.ai going to have the capacity to handle all these dealers who just heard Tully and Shon Kingrey, talk about how it's working for them?
We're ready. We're ready and waiting, and happy to set as many stores up as possible. I mean, today we've got, I believe, 200 stores that are active using the application. We've got another 115 that are currently in the onboarding process. And we're starting to see more and more of our stores that jumped on board with us early on in this technology who kind of wanted to start with the overflow option, different from the two of you. But I agree with the two of you wholeheartedly. I think it's a far better consumer experience. I think it makes more business sense to allow her to take the brunt of the routine stuff and free up our people, whether they're in a mall or in the store, to handle customers who want or need to speak to someone. But we're seeing more and more of our customers who in the beginning, they were early adopters because they said, hey, sign me up, let's do this. Yeah. But let's do it as an overflow option and see how it goes. They're starting to move it to the front because they're realizing it's a better experience. And they're saying, if I'm going to pay my people on Shon appointments, like Shon was saying, then I want to pay them on Shon outbound appointments.
Yes.
Not inbound appointments.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Right?
Like
because they're already calling in.
SOP parts and recalls, guys. SOP let the BDC do that. Let them handle your SOP and recalls. That's the key. Let the inbound phone calls. They're already the airplane's already on the glide path. Let them land it. You need to fix your SOP and your recall problem. That's what your BDC needs to do.
What great information. Tiffany, have learned so much today from this panel. Last question for you, Tiffany, because we're about out of time. If my dealership does not have X-Time, I use another solution, am I still able to get Brooke.ai in my store?
Yeah, absolutely. X-Time is a way for you to get it, do it very quick, very easy. So we love X-Time solution, but for those stores that aren't currently leveraging that scheduling tool, we are able to do an integration direct into the DMS. Setup and onboarding process is slightly different, but outside of that, I mean, it works just the same.
All right. I'm sold. I'm also sold on the bow ties here, Tiffany. These gentlemen look really great.
You
And
guys are just dapper and as handsome as ever.
yep, I love it, and I love what you've done, everybody. Not just for the appearance of the Roaring Twenties, but for AI as well. Tiffany, if our audience wants to reach out to you and has questions and wants to speak to you or someone there at Brooke.ai, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
The easiest way, honestly, just visit our website, give us a call, reach out at inquiries@proactivedealersolutions.com. If you want to connect with me directly, tpeeler@proactivedealersolutions.com. We're waiting for your call.
And I see that you're on social media as well. I see we're connected on LinkedIn. So
Yep, all over LinkedIn. Shoot me a message if that's Facebook too. I mean, whatever's the most comfortable way.
okay, everybody, it's mid-September. Don't wait. Get on the AI bandwagon because it is coming and it is coming fast. So do not delay. Shon Kingrey, thank you so much for your insights today. I learned so much from you, Shon. Tully, fantastic as well. Thank you. Great job. And Tiffany Peeler here today from Brooke.ai. Thank you all. Brooke.ai, everybody, here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thanks, Ted.